All right, we are on the first episode of An Com Chua, where we have our first guest, David Dang, my brother-in-law. He also happens to be a teacher. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm David Dang from I Love David Dang. I used to be a YouTube content creator, but now I am a teacher currently living in Melbourne. I have 2 fur babies and I play volleyball, but visiting the brother-in-law today to do this podcast.
All right, so on An Com Chua, we want to talk about food and our food passion, and I want to lead into it with a few questions I have written down here. So, everyone has a favorite childhood meal. So, what's your favorite childhood meal?
I think my favorite childhood meal growing up would easily be the bung chaya, or my bung tat baroy. I still eat it every time I come down to Sydney. I always ask my dad to make it. We also grew up a lot with ban kan.
Yeah.
But yeah, those would be my top 3.
So for all our non-Vietnamese guests here, the bún chả lò is a vermicelli Vietnamese spring rolls, and you can dress it up with a fish sauce, dipping sauce. And then what other meals did you say what?
What did I say? I forgot. Ban kan and bung tat baroy.
Yeah. And then bánh canh is a tapioca noodle with a pork broth and some toppings. And thịt ba lò is pork belly. So those dishes are very common amongst very migrant Vietnamese households in Sydney. Because David's from the south, that's very prevalent amongst southern Vietnamese communities. It might be different from all regions of Vietnam. So what was your family's go-to meal if you guys going to have like dinner together or lunches together?
Oh, we ate a lot of tat kha with the egg, which is very standard for most Vietnamese households. A lot of people, they are sick of it. They hate eating it. But for me, 28 years later, still one of my top meals every time it gets made. I just can't wait to dig into it.
So thịt kho is a Vietnamese pork belly, braised caramelized pork belly with ginger, fish sauce, a cooking caramel. All regions of Asia do their own version of caramelized pork belly. So the Filipinos will have pork adobo. And it is a big comfort dish. Families would eat this over and over and over again for most meals with rice and soup. And each family will have their own recipe as well. So it will vary from one family to another. Some families might use just water as their stewing liquid. Some other families might use coconut water. Okay. All right. So 2 more questions. My next question is about what was the last meal that you've cooked?
My last meal that I've cooked was actually a carbonara. So I'm very bad at Asian cooking. I can only do the simple stuff. Carbonara, salt, pepper, oregano, and parsley, if I recall, with cream. And then just a bit of chicken breast on top of that and cheese.
Nice. Come a bit closer. A bit closer. All right. So I think you made more of a chicken Alfredo or a chicken
Yes,
cascarola.
actually, it was a chicken Alfredo because that's Alfredo sauce.
Because a lot of Italians for carbonara, they're very strict. Carbonara is just guanciale, the pork jowl.
Yeah.
Pasta water, eggs, and parmesan or pecorino.
Yes, that is correct.
It's variations of it. It does taste somewhat similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying that you had to add extra spices in it to adjust to your taste, right?
Well, I actually didn't add any extra spices. I was just following the recipe. And for me, I like very salty, heavily flavored food. So when I ate it, it tasted very bland. So I had to put lots and lots of salt on it. But in the future, if I were to make it again, I would chuck a bunch of things like onion powder, garlic powder, chicken powder, until it tastes to my liking. I'm not sure what you're meant to put in it, but gotta experiment with the spices, I guess.
Yeah, so if you're a first-time cook, I think experimenting with any flavors that you really like is not a bad thing to try. But when you do so, it's always be light on the seasonings, whatever you add, because you can always add in extra. You can't take it out.
Exactly.
So always add in tiny by tiny.
Exactly.
What's something that you want to learn to cook?
I wanted to make a Sunday roast. That's my next big mission, because lately I've just been breadcrumbing chicken breasts and just doing all variations of like burgers, schnitzels, sandwiches. So I want to move on to more oven related stuff. And I feel like if I use the thermometer, and follow a recipe, it's very low risk of messing it up.
That's good. I think Sunday roasts are very classic to bring people together because you never have it by yourself.
Yeah.
You always have the big centerpiece of meat. It could be lamb, it could be a prime rib, it could be a chicken or turkey.
Yeah.
Something you can add to your Sunday roast is called a Yorkshire pudding. Have you heard of that?
No, I have not.
So a Yorkshire pudding is like a bread, but the bread is cooked in animal fat.
Yeah.
And it's like very crunchy and soft as well.
Ooh,
and you have it with gravy.
Ooh.
So it's very very UK. I'll show you a video later.
Yeah. I would love to try that with you next time.
Yeah, so a prime rib is something that can take time, and you should try it. Definitely try it. Try it on a Sunday for a Sunday roast. Obviously.
What if I want to cook it on a Saturday?
Then it'll be a Saturday roast.
Okay.
All right, last question. So because we're based in Southwest Sydney, and then people want to travel around Sydney as well to try different food at different establishments, what's your favorite restaurant in Sydney? And I know that's probably a hard question. What's your favorite restaurant in Sydney, and what would your normal order be?
So I actually don't have a personal favorite restaurant because I like a bunch of foods and I'm happy to eat them all at different places. But I went to Hubert's recently for the first time, which is a French place in the city, and that is probably now my most favorite restaurant I've ever been to because the food was top tier, the service was really good, it was a little bit expensive, but when you go with a group, it's just amazing all round.
Yeah, man, Hubert's is really good. I think it's probably the top French restaurant in Sydney.
Yeah.
It probably has some hats. So restaurants get hats here
Yeah.
instead of Michelin stars.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that pricey. I think it's actually quite reasonable for what it is. There's a lot more expensive places in Sydney, like Tattoos or Aria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But compared to like the HSPs that I
of
eat
course,
on
yeah.
the weekend for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you ordered there? I think most people enjoy the steak tartare, the escargot,
Yeah,
the
we got
gnocchi.
steak tartare, escargot. We got I think the tomahawk or the ribeye. I don't know. One of the big steaks that were there, and it was sliced up. I think we had kingfish. Is that right? I'm not sure.
Kingfish ceviche.
Yeah,
sounds like
it.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that. Yeah.
I think the bread and butter there is
yes,
insane,
the bread,
right?
the bread butter pate.
It's sourdough. It's
Yeah.
sourdough bread,
Yeah.
and then it's homemade butter as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that pate. Well, it's French. It's something else, but I just call it pate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing. Oh, I could eat that all day.
I think it's pate. It's
Yeah.
pate, mate.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, I thought pate was just Vietnamese.
The Vietnamese got it from the French because they colonized us, brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
There you go.
History lesson.
That's it. All right, that's all for our questions now. If you guys want to add some more questions, leave it in some comments or let me know or message me. I want to have more guests on in the future. Maybe Jordan, put your head up.
Hello.
Yeah,
Maybe Jordan.
yeah. Shout out to the Shady Barber.
That's it. What's you gotta put in your app, bro.
Grooming Den.
At the grooming den.
Is it? That's it. All right, that's it.